Here is a true story about a famous poker player. Imagine this player in a live tournament, playing for a prize of $2 million. There are millions of people watching every move. As a player, you know you are being observed and judged not only on your ability to play, but also on the fact that you are different from your competitors. You are a woman among all men players, and no woman has won a multi-million-dollar prize before. The pressure is on. This player's name is Annie Duke. She was the only woman in this tournament and knocked out 8 of the best players in the world. That's a huge achievement. And what was her reaction? In an interview for the NPR, she said,
I didn't really feel like I deserved to be at that table. I'm sort of thinking about, well, if I fold and I'm wrong, everybody's gonna be like, see, she plays like a girl. Like, look how he pushed her around. Despite the fact that I had spent the last 10 years making my living playing poker at the highest levels of the game, that I didn't really deserve to have ever won anything. I was bad and I had just gotten lucky, and now everybody was going to know it and what they were saying was true.
The way she saw herself was very different than how others see her. And this is common among the winners and successful people. Today we're talking about the imposter syndrome and why high achievers might feel like imposters. But before we jump into that, are you new to my channel? Welcome. My name is Valentina and I make weekly videos on self-improvement, personal and professional development, and anything related to success. Subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on my next videos. I read Annie Duke's book, Thinking in Bets, and it's phenomenal. I love the way she thinks. Our company also did a podcast with her, and I could listen to her for hours. I have a lot of respect for Ms. Duke, and I see her as a great example to follow. So why did she, as well as many high achievers, feel like frauds and attribute their success to luck and not to their hard work? In fact, most people struggle with it. It's like wearing a mask. You put on a show and nobody knows the real you. And I'm guilty of that myself. I never feel like what I'm doing is enough. And then I say, but wait, I have a full-time job, I run a YouTube channel, I'm working on a course, I work out, and I make time for my family every day. I am doing a lot, and yet I still feel like I should be doing more to measure up. Does that sound familiar to you as well? Let me know. The imposter syndrome involves a person fearing that they are not as good as other people think they are, and they will be found out. Many people devalue their capacities and don't think of their success as something spectacular. How many times have you heard someone saying, if I can do it, anyone can. There's nothing special about me. Perhaps you said it yourself too. Even Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba and one of the richest people in the world, feels that way. Ma started Alibaba in his apartment in 1999 with no money and a small team. In an interview, he said, one of the things we wanted to prove, if Jack Ma and his team can be successful, 80% of the people in the world, they can be successful. Or how many times did people compliment you and it made you feel uncomfortable? It might be a cultural difference, of course, and I understand. Having lived in the US, I had to adjust to receiving more compliments, even something trivial such as, I like your shoes. Where I'm from, people don't compliment each other so much. So it could be cultural, or it could be that you don't know how to handle compliments and the attention. And that happens even to the most famous people.
British people are notoriously terrible at taking compliments. Would you agree? Just like it's kind of like stop talking.
No, that's actually what she did. We first met, and I was like, look, I just want to get out of the way. I'm a huge fan of yours. And she went,
The reason is that the other people see us from the outside, while we know ourselves from the inside, and we know all of our fears and anxieties. What we portray externally is far narrower than our inner world. And people only see our work, our hustle, our attitude, and of course our results. What we feel inside is resistance, insecurity, and comparison to other more successful people. I chose to talk about this topic because this is a common phenomenon and it hinders success. The imposter syndrome is keeping us caged. And what's more interesting is that it never stops. We believe that the more knowledge we acquire, the more accomplished we become and therefore more confident. And that is true to a certain degree, but as we grow, so does our responsibility and competition. There will always be someone better than us, someone smarter than us. And that's why the imposter syndrome is a trap. Dr. Valerie Young is an international recognized expert on imposter syndrome, and she says, one thing all imposters share in common is a distorted, unrealistic, unsustainable definition of competence. According to her, there are 5 categories, and let me know if you find yourself in any of these descriptions. The first one is the perfectionist. The perfectionists focus on how something is done. They set high goals not only for themselves, but for others as well. And when they fail to reach a goal, they feel major self-doubt and start to think that they may not be cut out for this position or task, but at the same time, they have a hard time delegating tasks to others because they care too much about how something is done. For these people, the feeling of success doesn't last long because all they see is the room for improvement, not the magnitude of their achievements. The second one is the expert. Unlike the perfectionist, the expert focuses on what and how much they know. They expect to know everything, and even a minor lack of knowledge can make them feel like phonies. The next one is the superman or superwoman. These people measure their competence on how many roles they can handle simultaneously, and they push themselves harder and harder to measure up. They feel like they should excel in every role they take. Be a perfect employee, perfect boss, perfect parent, perfect friend, perfect host, you name it. The slightest constructive criticism can be a hit in their self-confidence. The next one is the natural genius. Young says these people also care about how the work is done, but they value the ease and speed of the task as well. They judge themselves on getting things right on their first try, otherwise it's not a natural talent. And the last one, the soloist. If you are this person, you care about who is completing the task, and it has to be you and you alone. Otherwise, you can't internalize the achievement and refuse to take any credit if you got assistance. Did any of these categories describe you? If so, where did you see yourself? Let me know in the comments. But more importantly, what can be done to overcome the imposter syndrome? First of all, cut yourself some slack. There is beauty in imperfection, and that's what makes us human and more relatable. Everyone has their own battles. No one is leading a perfect life, so don't compare yourself to others. If you don't want to feel like an imposter, you have to stop thinking like one. We can only control what we can control, and that is improving ourselves a little bit each day. And also, and I might get some pushback on this, but don't fake it till you make it. Faking anything will only give more proof and credit to the imposter syndrome. Not only is this stressful, but you know that you're lying to yourself. In a lot of my videos, I talk about habits and how to naturally become the person you want to be by taking small and consistent actions in the direction you want to go. Your actions are proof of your new identity. So to summarize, the imposter syndrome is something that's very, very common, and in fact, 70% of the people feel that, and especially successful people and winners, because they attribute their success not to the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into their work, but to luck. And that is just not always true. There is a lot of work behind success. So if you feel that way, we need to understand why we have these feelings. Where does it come from? And then take actions, not to feel like imposters and not to act like imposters, but to take small actions and understand the magnitude of our achievements. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments below. Also make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video so that YouTube can recommend it to others. I'll see you soon.